intelligent, thoughtful, successful women, women who have built something real. They're working hard, they're working smart, and they're working on the wrong thing entirely. Not because they lack intelligence or awareness or kindness. They have all of that in abundance, but because the problem that they're trying to solve isn't the problem that's actually creating the fiction, the friction. The problem they're trying to solve isn't the problem that's actually creating the friction. The visible problem looks like this: no time, not enough ease, too much grit and grip, not enough satisfaction landing, not enough momentum without all this internal pressure. So the solution most often is, in business, let's create a better system. Let's have more discipline. Let's have clearer priorities, better boundaries, different strategies, all of which make sense, right? They're logical, and yet the friction remains. So why does a friction remain when there's all of these good intentions and all of these great steps to make things better? Doesn't make sense, right? Well, because the visible problem is actually a symptom. The visible problem is actually a symptom, because the real problem is structural inside, internally. It lives at the level of how you're operating internally, not what you're doing externally. And here's what makes the trap so persistent for well-meaning people. Because well-meaning people around you from well-meaning people, they keep pointing back to the same level of solutions, the same kinds of solutions. Let's change structure. Let's get up earlier. Let's, as I said earlier, have better boundaries. Let's do more in less time. All of which are logical and make some sense on that other level, but not on this level. And so people keep pointing you to those kinds of solutions, but that's not the problem. That's a symptom. The problem is here. And you suspect this. You suspect this. So, because something really seems off despite all of the effort that you've been putting in. And it's driving you a little wild inside. Because how does this make any sense? You have plenty of insight, you have clear goals, you have better habits, new frameworks. Then why do you still not feel satisfied? And not that you walk around dissatisfied and grumpy all the time, but you know you are here for more than this. You know this. And yet everything you're doing to help have that come through isn't working. So you can't think your way out of this kind of pattern, because this kind of pattern lives below thinking. It lives below logic. You can't strategy your way out of a system that runs underneath the strategy, that has nothing actually to do with the strategy, but more to do with the person who's carrying out the strategy, even if it's a great strategy. That's why it's not working. This is why so many successful women feel an exhaustion with personal development and with themselves. Not because they've outgrown growth, but because the growth that's generally offered out there just isn't deep enough. And that's what you're missing. That's what you're craving. So what reaches that level, that deep internal structural level, isn't more effort, and it's definitely not more understanding. It does take willingness, though. Absolutely takes willingness and takes work. But the work has to be directed in a, a direction that will take you somewhere. So, what we really need is direct contact with what's actually running the show inside you. Direct contact with what's actually running the show inside you at the level of the deeper mind, not this mind, the deeper mind, beneath all the strategy and the self management that you've been doing for decades. So, if you would like to know more about how working at this different level could help you be even more successful, but with less angst and dissatisfaction at who you're being, join me on the Satisfied Life Shift. It's 3 days, an hour a day, virtual, live with me, that where I'll show you why what you're doing isn't working and why all of the best meant advice in the world can't really touch these places and what to do instead. It's going to be a small group of women who are already successful and yet are not satisfied, not because they want a bigger car or a bigger house, but because there's something going on inside that isn't matching the outside and they are not okay with that. So if that's you, click on the link here. I will see you there live with me very soon, and I can't wait to see you.